I'm sorry, but this is not the time or place for children. I must ask you to leave.
The following program contains material that may be offensive to some viewers.
Fast, revolutionary. Who knows what wonders await our crews in the bosom of the cosmos? All we do know is that it's a great day for mankind.
I know! The whole world has changed before our eyes for the better.
Okay, so why did you make another speech, you self-important, defeated little man? All you ever do is talk!
Home economics means much more than
We have to be subjugated to man?
We appear to be stuck.
This is gonna be a tough one.
In the last video, I went through some basic facts about transgender and how I started wondering if I might be transgender.
Truth serum. Simple but brilliantly effective.
I was pretty sure I'd like to transition someday, even if my weird reasons would probably disqualify me. But you know the old saying, everything changed when the Radfems attacked.
I am tired of having to always listen to you!
Trans women are men.
Excuse me?
Aren't you in the wrong place, sir?
You might have heard of these radical feminists before. They're a whole whopping great big alliance of female star systems in multiple galaxies. The word on the intergalactic net is that their planets are covered in TERF. T-E-R-F. Trans exclusionary radical feminists. You might have heard of TERFs interrupting trans women's pride marches and saying dumb stuff like,
Trans women are men.
Yeah, we get the idea. It's kind of repetitive, isn't it? You know, things like trans women shouldn't be allowed in women's changing rooms or women's sports.
Well, shouldn't you be in the men's washroom?
We all know that's transphobic, right?
I mean, you are a man.
No, I'm not.
And how do we know? Because our own gargantuan deluxe quasar-powered transmitter has been pumping out the correct propaganda, information for years. Let's tune in.
Trans women are women. Women.
Now that is how you win a debate. Logical and cohesive argument backed up by evidence.
You're using sarcasm, aren't you?
But back to the Radfems.
Stay out.
The transmitter says they're
Nymphs.
that need to be
Compressed.
just like the
Recycling
people of
Ask
this
yes.
world.
That is a joke.
You see, they've got a hive mind with secret wormhole connections to the lesbian hive mind,
Just call me Scissors Girl.
and they hate fun, like porn and prostitution. I mean, what's next? No Mario Kart? No Tradfems. Please don't take my Mario Kart away.
It's not you, it's me. I don't like you.
For half a century, Radfems have insisted that transsexualism is a contradiction in terms. That you can't be born with the wrong brain, or have a mismatched gender identity. No, you must be so obsessed with gender stereotypes that you think you have to swap teams. Be some kind of freaky transvestite, want to be cool like the other cool kids, or just be plain wacko.
Get out.
Now, there used to be this big old infamous TERF world on the Reddit website called Gender Critical, but some brave transwarp cruisers nuked that from space in June 2020, and I made a little video about that stunning display of support for free speech that you might want to check out. But back in 2019, when it still existed, when I first randomly turned up there after googling a book review, I could lurk in orbit and listen to their common chatter. And get this, turns out Radfems are sentient beings. Turns out they're people and not things. Who knew, right? Believe it or not, they are thinking, intelligent creatures. They've got rules and customs, philosophical and ideological frameworks based on logic and reason, with maybe a little crazy mixed in.
This is fascinating.
And not only that, but thanks to their hive-like obsession with reproductive biology, Radfems currently have a strict border protection policy that prevents the importation of bullshit, unlike the
Recycling
people of
Ask
this
yes.
world, who are also people and not things.
What are you talking about?
Well, for starters, Radfems generally take a dim view of this gender identity stuff.
It's a boy. In case you were wondering.
Go check out their gender critical outposts if you don't believe me. if you can find one that hasn't yet been nuked from space. They reckon we get socialized into acting masculine or feminine. They say society teaches us how it's okay to act.
Yes, master, I obey!
And this perspective is one I recognize. It's similar to psychosexual neutrality, a widely held concept in 60s and 70s America, sometimes also called the blank slate assumption.
Now, I think it's a little early to start imposing roles on it, don't you?
By an amazing coincidence, second-wave feminism, rad feminism, really hit its stride around then.
That's not entirely...
Yes, I know. I can't deal with that now.
Rad femmes and gender-critical feminists say that if we could just stop caring about these stereotypes and hating on people who non-conform, we could get rid of these gender straitjackets entirely and just be people. Still divided into male and female sexes, though, because we can't do much about that. You can't change your sex, say the rad femmes, not without a magic wand. So if you want to act girly, why you gotta be coming in here to our changing rooms saying you're a woman when you're clearly male? And why not just stay a girly boy? Well, try asking a girly boy. And I can't quite get on board with the gender-critical approach, because I reckon there's something in kids' heads that makes them want to fit into a gender role. Some kind of automatic detective program. Find out what boys do and do that. Or find out what girls do and do that. Even if everything else in their brains is the same, they're not just passive little sponges. And they come equipped with super sensitive radar systems picking up on everything. Like your body language. And most annoying of all, signals from other kids. So good luck with the gender-neutral parenting stuff. It's like they're telepathic. And trust me, kittens, they're even worse. Now that last bit was just irresponsible speculation that I picked up from a couple of pop science books. If you don't agree with me about that gender detective thing, no worries.
It needs to be questioned, re-examined.
The point is, listening to the rad femmes and the gender criticals got me thinking. A dangerous pastime, I know.
This is gonna be a tough one.
While I was searching, I found something strange.
Got some odd anomalies.
Remember all that stuff about my egg cracking open? I didn't really stop to think about it at the time, but looking back, something didn't quite add up after all.
Whoa, look at the size of it!
Yep, it's a whopper, all right.
Let's think logically.
This must be it. Yeah, the truth seeker.
If you're like me, you've spent most of your life assuming you're a guy. You're a boy, you're a teenage boy, you're an adult man. Or possibly a man-child in enthralled of the electronic succubus that is the games industry.
That is a joke.
Whatever, not judging, just a cat. And sure, maybe you've secretly known all along that you're not a guy. Or maybe you've only gradually started to figure it out, which is where the whole egg metaphor comes from, yeah? But either way, you got through most of your life to this point looking like a guy and acting like a guy. Maybe you also thought you were a guy, or maybe you were just putting on a convincing show, but based on how you seem from the outside, everyone else treats you like a guy. And they always have. Maybe they think you're a shining beacon of alpha masculinity. Or maybe they think you're a sissy, wussy, weakling crybaby.
I'm a sissy.
But in either case, they're judging you according to the standards of the masculine gender norm. Now let's just suppose for a second that sex is our biology, and gender is socialized. Just like the radical feminists might say. Now I know I said I don't think it's that simple, and you don't have to buy it either. But hey, it's got to be worth a laugh, right?
In that case, I challenge you to a battle of wits.
So shall we play and see who holds the final card? Deal me in!
So if I borrow some gender-critical glasses and take a look at my own life...
Nice glasses.
I looked like a boy from an early age, so everyone treated me like a boy. And I learned how to behave like a boy. More or less, approximately, within reason, when somebody's looking. Like, for instance, I refused to watch Disney's Beauty and the Beast on videotape for months, because it had a rose on the cover. And that meant...
I thought it was a girls' film.
And boys don't watch girls' movies, because otherwise they get called names.
Yellow light. Doesn't hurt.
From a gender-critical perspective, I got masculine socialized. But if gender is a social construct, and I'm just now beginning to suspect that I'm really a woman, at what point in all this could I possibly have learned or been socialized into being a girl on the inside? The whole world thought I was a guy. I thought I was a guy. Oh, maybe not an alpha male.
You're meek and uninteresting.
Which, humans don't actually have alpha males, by the way, just getting that out there. But basically, if we really do learn gender from society, then society taught me to act like a boy and act like a man. And for the last 30-something years, that's exactly what I've done. More or less, when somebody's looking. So how come I've got these weird feelings? Where's this affinity for girl space coming from? You might say I'm just deluded or imagining it, but I've felt this way for a long time. And it's made things awkward for me. For instance, relationships get a bit tricky when you want to be one of the girls as well as get with girls.
I'm just gonna get some air.
We have air in here.
Women tend to get weirded out.
And why wouldn't they?
What is the matter with him?
And I know there's plenty of people out there with way stronger cross-the-fence needs than me. What about all those people with gender dysphoria? Sure, maybe I'm not really trans, but it's actually not unusual for trans women who have had hormones and surgery and everything to say that they didn't figure out their true gender identities until they were teens or adults. If gender really is a social construct, how come transsexual and transgender people exist at all?
What's with this? What's with the change?
Shouldn't we all have been taught and trained by society to follow the official gender script? Why would we ever want to non-conform? Why would we ever fight against it?
You lose!
No, that can't be right.
In the old days, we'd solve this puzzle by blaming the parents.
Your father was emasculated, your mother was domineering.
Maybe I got kind of the wrong idea about the roles of men and women?
But there doesn't seem to be much evidence for that. Besides, kids get influenced by way more than just their parents.
So I can clearly not choose the wine in front of me.
Do you have a better hypothesis?
Maybe.
The trader told me that trans women come from the moon.
The moon?
Well, it was just a suggestion.
You're making less sense than usual.
So let's ditch those gender-critical glasses. Let's put on the essentialist monocle. Suppose gender identity isn't learned or socialized. Let's assume it's built in. And there's evidence for this, right? One of the things that Harry Benjamin and Alfred Kinsey discovered was that children could have dysphoria, not just adults. Some boys are biologically male.
You know what I mean!
But from early childhood, they behave in an extremely feminine way. Often, they look pretty girly too. In adolescence, even without hormones or surgery,
What kind of a quiz?
some of them socially transition to living as girls.
You must go alone. You must leave all your weapons behind. It will be very dangerous.
Now, they've got penises, right? They got tomcat bits. They look like boys. We're not talking about an intersex baby that makes the doctor stop and go, ooh. Yet despite the whole of society insisting that they act like guys...
Stop whining and be obedient! That's an order!
They don't listen.
Have you tried everything? Everything, sir. It's completely impregnable.
And remember, there's kids like this on the female side too, just not as many. In the 50s, when gender roles were much stricter than they are now, and being gay or lesbian was considered sick and criminal, we still saw little kids with boys' bodies saying, I'm a girl, and girl-bodied kids saying, I'm a real boy. And even if they didn't say that, they'd keep on trying to do girly things, or tomboy things, which made all the other kids make fun of them, and sometimes freak their parents out, because they were afraid
Prepare your bladder for imminent release!
their children would grow up to be gay. No matter how hard every adult in their life tried to force them to act like proper boys and girls, they resisted. If there was some kind of socialization going on, it was clearly not doing its job. And it's not just a Western thing either. If you look around the gender universe for boys who act like girls, you find other galaxies with kinda similar groups of people. Ish. Sometimes they think of themselves as a third gender, or as homosexual men, or some other concept that doesn't neatly match up to the Western transgender idea, so please don't go claiming you're a two-spirit person if you don't know what the bejesus you're talking about. But strangely enough,
This is the sensitive part.
as teens and adults, almost all of them want to do the diplomatic horizontal tango with guys. For kids like these, puberty can be terrifying. Come on, imagine it. Imagine you're 100% sure you are a girl, or you really want to be a girl, even though you have a penis. You might be kind of hoping that at puberty, you'll magically grow breasts and stuff like that, because you don't really understand how these things work. But instead, you find yourself getting all hairy and tall and getting all these hard-ons that are incredibly embarrassing because they remind you that your body's wrong. And a lot of transgender activists will say that they wish they could have transitioned earlier than they did, before male hormones ravaged their bodies. So it's no wonder that they don't want kids to wait for years and suffer like they did. But here's the tricky thing. Most kids who act gender non-conforming, like for example acting really girly even though they're boys, they don't turn out to be trans. Maybe they grow up to be gay or lesbian. Or maybe they just reckon it's okay for a dude to cry sometimes.
I'm a sissy.
Only a small number of kids who act like they might be trans actually end up jumping the fence. The others desist.
I would not say such things if I were you.
Why not?
Maybe it's already everywhere.
Hello.
I have a job for you.
The moon.
You told me the moon was an egg, Khaleesi. That once there were 2 moons in the sky.
A girl from the mystic moon?
What in God's name are you talking about?
Where do you get this stuff from?
So anyway, do those boy-bodied kids have lady brains? Is that how they're able to resist the pressure to be socialized? Did something happen when they were in the womb to give them a pink gender identity?
Why do you look so sad?
Well, maybe. See, here's how it works. If a star system, you know, my analogy for a person. Hey, I did put a warning note up at the start of this video asking you to watch the earlier videos, joke's on you. If a system just has X-wings, it will develop female life. Think of them like colony ships that come in and they drop off the females. I call them starships to be cute, but technically they're chromosomes, you know, where you keep your DNA. But if the system's got an X and a Y, well, the X-wing pilot is like, well, let's get this girl show on the road. And the Y-wing pilot is like, I don't think so.
We're starting our attack run.
Basically, the Y-wing bombs the baby with fetal testosterone. That's how you get your average baby Willy, with a Willy. But developmental biology is kind of messy and sloshy. It's not neat and tidy like a computer program.
Prepare for deployment of Y unit.
And every now and then something goes a little awry. Not disastrously, just something a little off. And I don't want to get into details here, it's complicated, but for the sake of argument, let's suppose that in rare cases, and developmental biologists, I'm totally riffing here, don't take a word of this seriously, let's suppose that that testosterone bomb is a bit of a dud. It's a bit of a whiff, a bit feeble. Maybe the body gets mostly masculinized, but not quite. Maybe it only just makes it over the finish line. Maybe the bomb didn't fully affect the brain. Because here's the key. Contrary to all that Adam and Eve stuff that some of us were brought up with, the basic template for the human body is female. That's what the X-Wing is programmed to make. Becoming a male is sort of like a hack. It's like a mod to a computer game. It's an adjustment. It's a director's cut. It's a jury rig. The Y-Wing tells the body to make testes instead of ovaries. And the testes send out hormones that dissolve the bits that were going to become a uterus. And once they've bulldozed that, the testes trigger the testosterone bomb that orders all the other cells in the body to make a boy instead of a girl. This is very complicated, and there are quite a few ways for it to go wonky. For instance, if the testosterone explosion is too big, and it hits your brain like a rush hour railway timetable, you might end up with an autism spectrum condition.
Oh, nerds!
Although that link might still be disputed, don't quote me on that. On the other hand, if the bomb is a squib, you might not quite make it to man camp. Here's an extreme example of an oddball result.
You were born on Mars, weren't you, Captain?
Is that so?
Remember I talked about the intersex people with CAIS, complete androgen insensitivity syndrome? Well, genetically they're male, X-wing plus Y-wing, and their Y-wing makes testes form instead of ovaries, and then get down to business preparing the testosterone bomb. But the X-wing in every cell of their body has a small but important malfunction.
I'm hit!
It's deaf. It can't pick up testosterone signals.
I copy, moving into position. I copy, moving into position.
So when that testosterone bomb finally goes off...
Get clear, she's gonna blow.
My scope's negative. Where is he?
And since neither body nor brain get masculinized, people with CAIS generally look like women, act like women, and grow up thinking they're biologically female, and get one heck of a surprise when they find out about the space battle that went on in their baby body.
Say what?
Some people have a less hardcore, partial form of that condition, called PAIS.
Repeat it, I didn't hear.
Starting our attack run.
So they do get a bit masculinized, and some consider themselves guys, at least for part of their life, while others think of themselves as women.
Right, say the line again. I'm losing power.
I'm losing power.
So am I saying that those boys who act like girls from a young age and might actually be transgender must have an intersex condition? Well, nothing like case, obviously, but maybe they have some mild effect in the brain. Maybe they get mostly, but incompletely masculinized. Could they have a feminized brain? Or, if all our brains are basically the same, like some neuroscientists and radfems say, maybe they just ended up with the opposite gender detective program. One that wants to do what girls do and locks onto feminine things.
The little golden book of fairy rules?
I don't believe you.
Why not?
Wait! The Constructicons formed the most powerful robot. We should rule.
Still, there's got to be some socialization going on here too, surely? Imagine some little boy is really into flowers and ballet and fairies and whatever. Maybe it's totally random, unpredictable coincidence, or maybe it is because there's something different about his brain. But whatever the reason, he could just grow up to be a feminine kind of man.
Are you crying again?
No, it's nothing, sir.
But if his mom or dad belonged to a really strict culture or religion,
Now just get out of the ship, son.
they think men and women should act in certain ways,
Stop whining and be obedient! That's an order!
and there's just no wriggle room in this family to be a girly boy sometimes, well then he's got to be 100% manly and masculine all the time. It's really pressuring, and this little kid is like, I just want to drink tea with the daddies. I just want to play with the daddies. And because trying to make his life work as a sissy boy is like trying to swim up a waterfall, his only option is to jump the fence and live as a girl instead. Is that really how it works? I don't know. Some people think it works the other way. They say that if you let a little kid go around believing he's a she, then that could lock in some problems, because little kids don't really get the difference between boys and girls until they're older. And since a boy who thinks he's a girl may end up needing expensive and dangerous medical treatment, it would be more sensible to help him become comfortable as a boy. That is reparative therapy talk. You stop that right now.
Oh my god, you get executed for that?
Oh, sorry. I forgot we're not allowed to suggest that anymore. You shouldn't try to change a kid's gender identity. It's wrong. Oh, I wouldn't dream of it. Perish the thought. Unless my son acts like a typical boy, or my daughter acts like a typical girl, because that would be totally stereotypical and patriarchal, and as a parent, I really ought to encourage him to be more feminine, and her to be more masculine. Right? Oh yeah, that's fine. Okay, just so we're clear. Well, so far the Essentialist monocle seems to be getting us somewhere. Or is it?
You lose! I think not.
What the hell is this light?
Because what I had to ask myself was, if I had that same kind of inner brain feminization, incomplete masculinization, hidden intersex condition that means I'm really a girl inside, how come it's taken me over 30 years to notice?
Got some odd anomalies.
I'm not listening to you. You're a figment. You're haunting my imagination.
We're out of time.
But you did perfect be safe, I promise you.
Don't touch me!
But I'm one of the nice
Get away from me! Who can tell the difference anymore? There. Go away!
It's not fascinating. It's frightening!
Princess of Mars. How about that?
Chart a new course back to Earth.
We are the same.
There's too many of them.
We are the same.
Stay clear of the front batteries.
We are the same.
You're taking a lot of fire. Back off.
We are the same.
I'm hit!
We are the same. We are the same.
Say what?
We're not the same. We are in no sense the same.
We are the same.
Enemy forces incoming. 5 large battleships.
Prepare for deployment of Y unit.
Stand by on the gravity blast cannon. Get out of here. Get out of here this instant.
We are the same.